Hey, what's up, everybody? Jason here. This YouTube channel is called Relic, and I created it a couple years ago, hoping to put out some content especially concerning church. You know, it's hard. Why is it so hard to find a church? I mean, I'm in Southern California in South Orange County. It's not hard to find a church. I can go outside and throw a rock and hit a church, but I know exactly what that church is going to be like. You know, I'm from the area. I've lived here all my life, but I did spend some years out of state and recently returned a few years ago. And since I've been looking around and exploring and asking ChatGPT and visiting actual locations, looking for a church that is different, looking for something that is not typical, something that's not basic. What's basic around here is Calvary Chapel and Calvary Chapel adjacent, Calvary Chapel wannabe type churches, right? So Calvary Chapel started in the 1960s in the Jesus movement, you know, and that was my background. I was a minister, a pastor, a missionary from Calvary. I was on staff at Costa Mesa for a few years. And that sort of style and that vibe has largely swallowed up the church scene here in Orange County. So it's like every church you go to is either going to be a Calvary or a Calvary wannabe. If they're a conservative evangelical church, right? They're going to have like casual worship with guitars and drums and Jesus is my boyfriend. Zero liturgy whatsoever, mostly just welcome, say hi to somebody, let's stand and sing a couple happy clappy songs. Then we're going to get serious. We're going to like tone it down. We're going to play something in a minor chord. Let's sit down for this one. 45-minute, you know, kind of expositional verse by verse type Bible study, after which there's coffee and donuts. And we'll see you next week. That's fine, you know. I went on ChatGPT and asked, like, hey, are there any other churches in the area that are sort of like a little bit more fringe, a little bit more on the margins, you know? Because those of you who know me know that I just tend to find the most comfort in those marginal, you know, liminal sort of spaces around the edges. But all you can get in this area anyway, if you want to step outside of the Calvary Chapel straitjacket, are churches that are also trying to be Calvary Chapels, except they have rainbow flags, right? So they're inclusive, which is fine. I'm not disparaging that. If that's what you're doing, go for it. But it's like, all right, so these are my options, right? There's basic evangelical churches that are all exactly the same. And then there are churches that are not evangelical because they allow gay people to come. And that's it, right? And it's like, you know, what else is there? Now, don't get me wrong, I have found a couple congregations here in my town, in South Orange County, that are great. And I visit them frequently. I love them. I've gotten to know, you know, the staff and the people who go there, and they're wonderful people. So I'm not saying anything about them, not disparaging them in any way. But I am saying that I would love for there to be, and I even wrote a post in the local Facebook group, you know, for our town a year ago or so, saying what I'm looking for in a church. Like, is there something like this? Does anybody know anything like this? And I got so many responses. I was surprised. I mean, likes and comments and DMs, like in the hundreds. And it really struck a chord. Like, there's an itch, you know, that people want scratched. And I certainly do, you know. And I kind of said, like, look, I'm looking for something that is, you know, not evangelical, not typical, not happy clappy, not Jesus is my boyfriend who leads me into the garden, you know, and we have intimate time together where he whispers into my ear with his hot breath, you know, and this kind of thing. But like something a bit more robust, something a bit more, you know, theologically serious, not necessarily orthodox. You know, I mean, orthodoxy is important and great and all that, but I've always, when I see loose threads, I pull at them. When I see holes or chinks in the armor, I try to find out, like, how vulnerable is this, you know? So I've always been drawn to and attracted to the sort of liminal spaces, the edges and the margins, right? And I'm like, is there a place like that? Is there a place with some deep theology that is not necessarily just your typical, you know, evangelical theology, but something a bit more deep and a bit more gritty, something with some liturgical awareness, something with some rootedness in ancient expressions of Christianity, something with some sort of like liturgical elements, you know, and something with a kind of rootedness to the past and the the fact that the Christian church didn't start in 1965 with Chuck Smith and the Jesus movement, but there's a whole host of like sacramental, incarnational, Trinitarian, liturgical theology that we've all just forgotten about because it was irrelevant, excuse me, and it doesn't draw crowds. I'm looking for something like that, you know? And I said in that post I wrote to the group on social media, I'm like, hey, anybody know of a place like this? Anybody willing to start something like this that I could be a part of? Most of the responses to those questions were, no, but if you start something like this, let us know, because we'll be there. I have started churches. I've planted churches in the past and overseas as a missionary, out of state. It's a huge pain, you know. Being a church planter is hard, and it's a massive headache, and it's something I'd love to avoid. But it is something I guess I'm willing to, you know, attempt again if the need arises. But anyway, just keep an eye on this channel. I'm going to try to make content on the regular, just talking about these themes, talking about some of the theological, liturgical, ecclesial kinds of, I don't know, itches that I've got, you know, that I want to have them scratched. And I know that there are others who are like me. And so just keep an eye on this channel, hit like, hit subscribe, and as I put out more content like this, hopefully we can get a conversation going. If anything I'm saying is, you know, piquing an interest or, you know, tickling your fancy or whatever, shoot me a DM. Relic 2024 is the YouTube channel. I think it's Relic 2024 on TikTok also. And then I'm on Substack under Jason J. Stellman. I'm also online at jasonstellman.com. Jason J. Stellman on Facebook is my author, you know, content creator page. But like, let's get a conversation going. Let's see let's see if there's something here to this. You know, I would love for something to arise organically out of these questions I've got and these discussions I'd love to have. And so if you're down, then let's start talking.